Now with the Rise of the Tomb Kings having come out, we can start to, I guess, speculate or talk about some of the races, some of the lords, some of the goodies that are coming in Total War Warhammer 3 so far down the line. We know that Three Kingdoms is coming out in the fall of this year, so it's safe to say that we'll probably see a Total War Warhammer 3 maybe in Q2, Q3 of 2019, if not fall of 2019. But it doesn't stop us from talking about all the stuff that's going to be in it. So what I want to start doing is, just like we did for the Tomb Kings, start going through some of the legendary lords / special characters of the Ogre Kingdoms. And they're in 8th edition, there's not that many, and to be totally honest, there's actually only about 4. In 6th edition, there was 3 additional ones that they cut out in later editions. You've got, like, Grease's Goldtooth and Goldfag, but then in later editions past, you had Groth One Finger and Bros Slave Lord. So they have a lot of options for special characters and legendary lords for Total War Warhammer 3 with the option of with the addition of Ogre Kingdoms. And that is to say, maybe that these Ogre Kingdoms come out before Total War Warhammer 3. This is all purely speculative, but I don't see them adding the Mountains of Morn in Total War Warhammer 2. Just kind of a little too far-fetched, right? So we'll start our new series here, and we'll do the same thing we've always been doing here, right, guys? We'll read through the lore blurb here, and then after that, we'll talk a little bit about what that application might be like in Total War Warhammer 2, 3, 15, whatever one it is, right? So today I want to go into Bragg the Gutsman. Now, Bragg the Gutsman is a bruiser, and bruisers are heroes in the Ogre Kingdom roster. They're not lords, but as we've seen, Creative Assembly is no stranger to adding heroes in the game at that level. And at the same time, you only have 2 lord choices of the named characters in the 8th edition book, so they might have to start dipping down into some of the hero sections. So let us learn together about Bragg the Gutsman. Ogres are a battle-hardened and fearless race, but there walks one amongst their number who is held in dread. Even veterans of 1,000 battles feel corpulent shivers at the very name of this killer amongst killers, this shadowy figure that deals out the most gruesome kind of death imaginable. He is the champion executioner of ogre kind, a slayer of kings and of heroes. To see him on the field of battle is to see death itself at work. He is Bragg the Gutsman, and none he has marked for slaughter have ever survived. When presented with his first blade to swing about with wild abandon, as is every young whelp, Bragg showed great affinity for lopping off the heads of any nearby. It wasn't that Bragg fought with grace or finesse, as such attributes elude all ogres, but rather that he had a natural gift for landing blows causing maximum damage. It was when Bragg created the death-dealing weapon known as the Great Gut Gouger that he earned true notoriety. The weapon was cobbled together after Bragg broke his scimitar at the Battle of the Firemouth. He fashioned the polearm from the broken blades of a slain Black Orc warlord, and the magically glowing steel was beaten and reformed using the magma of the Firemouth itself. Thus was born a legend. Wielding the hook blade with prowess, Bragg could slice off a foe's head with a flick of his powerful wrists. Time and again, Bragg slew foes, beheading orc chieftains, Skaven, warlords, and heavily armored champions of chaos. It was not until Bragg turned his weapon against his own kind that his comrades learned to know fear. During intertribal wars, Bragg discovered the bladed hook could cut above a victim's gut plate, and sliding down to scoop out his foe's guts, sending them splashing wetly to the ground. Ogres are used to heinous wounds, but disembowelments cause them to cringe. There can be no recovery from a gut blow, and with their extraordinary size, it takes a long, painful time for the innards to fully uncoil outwards. Bragg had become a much feared executioner, or gutsman, as ogres called him. Since then, Bragg has traveled from tribe to tribe, seeking battle. He's always welcomed, for he is a powerful bruiser and a helpful in a scrap. Champions of every race have fallen before Bragg, dismembered by his strange weapon. To see the mightiest of their foes chopped down always raises cheers amongst the ogres. Yet sooner or later, Bragg finds himself called out, or forced to settle with some internal challenger. After spilling his victim's guts in a brief duel, Bragg finds himself no longer welcome. Even when killing a tyrant, Bragg finds no tribe will follow him. So, shouldering the Great Gut Gouger, he moves on, forever seeking the next tribe where he might find work for his thirsty weapon. Bragg feels the need to kill Calling him as surely as he feels the voracious stirring of the great maw in his own belly. It is a lonely life, for where Bragg walks, he walks alone, save perhaps the pitter-pattering of a few tag-along nobblers. To increase his fell reputation, Bragg has taken to wearing a dark leather hood over his head, in the manner of a human hangman, feeling that since he has such a dreaded aura about him, he may as well capitalize on it. Boom. There it is. Bragg the Gutsman, the great gut gouger in and of itself. So, with the Ogre Kingdoms, we're going to be talking a lot about monstrous infantry. And we see monstrous infantry already kind of included in the game with stuff like crypt horrors or rat ogres or anything of the sort. So I think we're going to be seeing an army, and we'll go into more of this, of course, during the actual roster that we do of the Ogre Kingdoms. You know that's going to happen, right, guys? But when we go through that, we'll talk about monstrous infantry and how I'm pretty sure this is an army consisting almost entirely of monsters and monstrous infantry. There's no kind of foot soldiers in this army at all. Even your base ogre has like 2 or 3 wounds and 5 toughness. They're pretty beastly to play against. I mean, me playing personally as high elves, when I used to play against them, it was a pain. Like, you have this massive, let's just say 30-40 man unit of high elf spearmen going up against what looks like a 6 or 9 man squad of ogres, and they just get mulched because ogres have, and what Bragg here actually has, is ogre charge. And the way this works is every time that they charge into combat, they thunder in. You know, they do a thundering crash into combat, and they actually do damage just for charging. So expect a really high charge bonus on ogres across the board, and maybe they will get some sort of ogre charge or some sort of thunderous charge, so that when they do make contact, they are just bulldozing things over. And that's the biggest thing with the ogres. You're not going to have this huge, massive, wide army like you are with Skaven or like with Tomb Kings or Greenskins, but you are going to have access to a stockier, sturdier army that is going to cause a lot of damage and cause a lot of destruction just by simply throwing its mass around. When we talk about Grease's Goldtooth, you'll hear a part where it straight up says he charged him gut first, and that's like a big thing with the ogres. They kind of venerate their guts. They look at their guts because it's kind of like their connection to the Great Maw and like a source of their power. The bigger the gut, the better the individual. That kind of crap. And it's just kind of the way it used to be with in antiquity. The fatter the individual, the healthier supposedly he was, because you could afford to eat like that. Just the kind of ridiculous thing that they kind of affix to stuff. But all ogres cause fear too, so that'll be an interesting thing. Just like a Vampire Count's army or a Tomb King's army, this entire army will cause fear. And if they make Bragg a legendary lord in Total Warhammer 3, I could see them making him maybe cause terror, or maybe even cause like fear in his own units, which would be a pretty cool dynamic on just a lore tidbit. There's nothing like that on tabletop, but we've seen how Creative Assembly has taken the lore of lords. That's kind of really cool sounding. The lore of lords, the lore of heroes, and kind of made special rules out of it that weren't in tabletop. And it's their way of kind of saying, okay, well, that special rule that they've got in tabletop, that's a little too, doesn't really make the translation to our game very well. So let's take some of these things that we know about lore and create a very flavorful, very original mechanic for this lore. And I'm very, very down with that. And more power to them. Make it come, keep coming. Or wait, what does that mean? But let's talk about the Great Gut Gouger. It's the only magic item that Bragg has. He doesn't have any special rules outside of this. And when we talk about Greasus or we talk about Scrag, you'll see that there are a lot of special rules for these guys, but this is, again, just a hero tier special character. He is a bruiser, so he's just like your hero tier agent type character, but again, we've seen Tretch Craventail, who is a hero, become a legendary lord, so it's not far-fetched that we would see such a thing. So the Great Gut Gouger. This massive poleaxe was created by Bragg from a magical weapon formerly wielded by a Black Orc warlord. Its power seems to be unlocked by the visceral thrill of single combat, and comes alive when Bragg steps forth to challenge the best warriors that the enemy can offer. To accept such a duel against the Gutsman is soon after regretted, as the many notches in the Great Gut Gouger's haft can attest. This is a magic weapon, and essentially it makes him fight a little bit better, right? It gives him more strength. But we could see that as being equivocal to weapon strength, increased weapon strength, if it's like a quest item that he unlocks. But maybe it would give him a heroic killing blow. So what that actually does here in the game, it makes it so it does give him heroic killing blow. So we see that on white kings in the vampire count. So it'd be interesting if this did give him a heroic killing blow special activatable ability, but it also allows him that if he does like kill a lord, it disrupts the units around him. So it'd be interesting if maybe it did something kind of similar to Wolfric, right? So it was a minus 30 to armor and also a minus leadership in an aura around like a cat, like you cast it, and it's a minus 8 or 10 or 15 leadership in that aura around him, and a minus 30 armor to the target itself. So that'd be pretty interesting because, you know, you have this massive, basically assassin style ogre that's going in for the kill here. It's going to try and burst down the one lord or hero that you make him attack. And I'm thinking that, especially with the Bragg and the Great Gut Gouger, we're going to be seeing a lot of area attacks from these ogres, you know, big sweeping attacks that knock about multiple foes. It can't be, of course, a one-to-one. It was never like that in Warhammer either, but something where maybe his Great Gut Gouger is just sweeping through units as he kind of like cleaves his way to his destination, even using that ogre charge to get exactly where he wants to be. So, guys, I'm really excited to talk more about the Ogre Kingdoms. We're going to have a video coming out here. I wanted to do it today. I so wanted to do it today, but it's going to be a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So the video that I've been kind of touting up now the past week and a half, 2 weeks, is going to be about the Darklands. So we'll go into those races that we think are going to be in Total War Warhammer 3. When I say we, I mean me. And we're going to go into where I think those other races are. So we're going to talk more about Ogre Kingdoms. They're going to be a lot in our lore vernacular in the coming months here. But I'm excited to kind of spill more of the guts of the Great Maw to y'all. But thanks for watching here today, guys. If you have any questions, or if there's a lore that you want to see or hear about next, go ahead and comment. Also, if there's some stuff that you know about from the past, like the 6th edition. The 6th edition is when Bro the Slave Lord or Jared the Red was around. Feel free to say, hey, you know, I want to hear about that Lord as well, or instead. I'll dive into those as well. But thanks for watching here today, guys. Have a good one, and take care.